Emptiness is nothing but the practice of Zazen. Welcome back to our reading of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Suzuki Roshi. This week I'm looking at a chapter on page 113, Readiness, Mindfulness. And I'm starting my reading today at the very end of the chapter, where Suzuki says, emptiness is nothing but the practice of Zazen. There you have it. In the Prajnaparamita Sutras, the best known one is the Heart Sutra, the Hanya Shinyo. Very short sutra. Then you have the Prajnaparamita Sutra in longer versions. I think it's 8,000 lines, 10,000 lines, etc. And these longer versions you might see a figure in ceremonies, Zen ceremonies like the Kito ceremony and the Tendoko, where they ritually rifle through or ritually read the entire sutra as part of the ceremony. So this teaching, these Prajnaparamita teachings, which Suzuki Roshi is teaching on today, at the heart of them is the reality of emptiness, of Sunyata. And Sunyata is the ultimate truth of things. And Zazen is emptiness, and emptiness is Zazen. So, in sitting in Zazen, we sit in the ultimate truth of things. We enter the ultimate truth. Zazen is emptiness. Emptiness is nothing but the practice of Zazen. So, this is a very important statement, because what Suzuki Roshi is telling us is that by practicing Zazen, we are living enlightenment. We are manifesting being enlightened in practicing Zazen. So Zazen and enlightenment are one. They're not two separate things. Zazen is not the search for enlightenment. Zazen is not orientated towards the goal of enlightenment. Zazen, sitting meditation in the Zen way, Zazen, manifesting the truth, is itself enlightenment. This is an amazing thing. In Zazen, there's nowhere to go, nothing more to do. It's like in the Tibetan tradition, the great completion. It's the same practice, essentially. The great completion. Nothing more. Zazen. This is our practice in Zen. Suzuki Roshi is teaching here out of a tradition that, of course, Master Dogen teaches as well, back in the 13th century, and this is Dogen's teaching of practice enlightenment. That enlightenment and practice is the one thing, and of course we see this back in Bodhidharma's teachings, many centuries before that, in the, I suppose, 5th century thereabouts. So this is what Suzuki Roshi is teaching today. In the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the most important point, of course, is the idea of emptiness. Not the idea, though. I think it's not an idea of emptiness. It is the reality of emptiness, I would say. So maybe the word idea is a bit difficult there. Before we understand the idea of emptiness, everything comes to exist substantially. But after we realize the emptiness of things, everything becomes real, not substantial. So we understand that things are out there, solid things are out there in the world, and that these are substantial things. But this is a delusion, because everything is empty, everything is codependent, arises codependently, everything is transient, nothing has a substantial, everlasting nature. Therefore, all reality is one empty, boundless truth. You know, it's amazing the insights of modern physics and particle physics, and that look at what material things are made of or constituted of, and we see that the closer we look, the less solid everything is. It's not really what's being talked about here, but there is a relationship between that, and that is very interesting. The fact that everything is made of atoms, which are made of electrons, which are made of etc., etc. We can go down into the infinity of particle physics. Certainly there isn't a contradiction between the vision of Prajnaparamita and the inside of Prajnaparamita and modern particle physics, and they do complement each other, but the teachings are not the same. We're not talking about what material is constituted of or made of in the Prajnaparamita Sutra so much. We're talking about the ultimate way things really are. So there's more going on there. When we realize that everything is a part of emptiness, we can have no attachment to any existence. We realize that everything is just a tentative form and colour. Thus we realize the true meaning of each tentative existence. And when we first hear that everything is a tentative existence, most of us are disappointed. But this disappointment comes from a wrong view of man and nature. It is because our view of observing things is deeply rooted in our self-centered ideas that we are disappointed when we find everything has only a tentative existence. But when we actually realize this truth, we have no suffering. So to actually realize the truth of emptiness is to actually realize that there is no birth and there is no death. So we never leave the ocean of truth. We have never left it, and we never will. The ocean will change and shift, but it remains the ocean. This body of truth is our true body, is our true being. So Suzuki Roshi talks about Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, in the Heart Sutra. And let's just dive in. To realize the truth is to live, to exist here and now. So it is not a matter of understanding or of practice, it is an ultimate fact. In this sutra, the Heart Sutra, Buddha is referring to the ultimate fact that we always face moment after moment. This point is very important. This is Bodhidharma's Zazen. Even before we practice it, enlightenment is there. But usually we understand the practice of Zazen and enlightenment are two different things. This is what I was talking about a few moments ago. Practice and enlightenment being one. Here is practice, and there is enlightenment, essentially. But no, as Suzuki Roshi is teaching today, these are the one thing. It's not that when we move our legs in a certain way we are walking. It is walking is the moving of the legs in a certain way. It's not like if I move my legs like this, I then will be walking. No, it is the walking is the moving of the legs, the carrying of the body in a certain way. So Zazen and enlightenment and awakening are like this. They are the same thing. I don't know, maybe that helps. You cannot practice true Zazen because you practice it. If you do not, then there is enlightenment and there is true practice. When you do it, you create some concrete idea of you or I, and you create some particular idea of practice or Zazen. So here you are on the right side and here's Zazen on the left. So Zazen and you become two different things. Yeah. So it isn't that you practice Zazen. As long as you practice Zazen, there is you here and Zazen there. This is what Master Dogen talks about when he talks about forgetting the self. Body and mind drop away. Body and mind are still there, but we forget the self. So Zazen being over here and I being over here stops. There is unity, unification. Unification of mind, body, and all things. This is Zazen. Zazen is there when we are no longer sitting Zazen. When it isn't me over here and Zazen over there. And this original enlightenment, as Suzuki Roshi is saying, is there regardless. In the background, it's there regardless. But what practice does is it makes it manifest. This is why we practice. We don't make this awakening, this enlightenment. We don't make it by practice. We realize it by practice. It's a distinction there. So he continues to talk a little bit in this chapter about the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the Heart Sutra, and he basically says this is Zazen. Thinking which is divided in many ways is not true thinking. Concentration should be present in our thinking. This is mindfulness. Talks a little bit about mindfulness as well. Whether you have an object or not, your mind should be stable and your mind should not be divided. This is Zazen. Your mind should not be divided. So multitasking is not the Zen way. In some ways, a scattered mind, a mind scattered among many things. When we sit Zazen, we have no mind. It is so concentrated, it is so at one with Zazen, that self and mind are gone. And when we do anything, this is the type of mind we should bring to whatever we do. That we become one with our tasks. We become one with whatever it is that we have to do. This is a mind that is not divided. It is not necessary to make an effort to think in a particular way. Your thinking should not be one-sided. We should just think with our whole mind and see things as they are without any effort. Just to see, remember, if there's effort, it's you making effort. So this is effortless. This becomes effortless. Just to see and to be ready and see things with your whole mind is Zazen practice. By wisdom, we do not mean some particular faculty or philosophy. So it isn't that you master the Zen way through study. Study is very good, underpins the practice, supports understanding in our habitual lives when we're discussing Zen, when we're talking about Zen, but this is not Zen. Zen is only entering that ultimate state through the practice of Zazen. It is the readiness of mind that is wisdom. So wisdom could be various philosophies and teachings and various kinds of research and studies, but we should not become attached to some particular wisdom, such as that which was taught by the Buddha. So even Buddhism is very, very unique in this way. Even the teachings, even the Buddha's Dharma, is not something we should attach to. In the Pali Canon, in the old way, it says the Dharma, the teachings, are a raft to bring us to the other shore, and then the raft is to be left behind, because it's extra to the ultimate truth. Wisdom is not something to learn. Wisdom is something which we all come out of, which will come out of your mindfulness. So the point is to be ready for observing things and to be ready for thinking. This is called emptiness of your mind. Your mind is totally unified with what is, and you have forgotten self within that. And then the line which I started with, emptiness is nothing but the practice of zazen. So, Suzuki Roshi teaching us today that practice and enlightenment are one. That emptiness is zazen and zazen is emptiness. That emptiness, even though I've mentioned before, the word is a little potentially open to misunderstanding, but emptiness is this boundlessness is the truth, is the ultimate truth, is enlightenment itself, is awakening itself. So the point is to practice. Next time we'll move on to believing in nothing on page 116. So I look forward to that. So thank you for your attention, thank you for your presence, and enjoy your practice. Make zazen a part of your life every day. Have a wonderful day.